Hello friends, and welcome to a little bit of a different video for me. I have my suitcase out next to me because Blair and I are going away on a little holiday tomorrow. We're just going up to Daylesford, which is like a cute little country town about an hour and a half from where we live. We're dropping Ollie off at my parents' house, so she's staying with her grandparents, and it's just going to be Blair and I for 4 nights and 5 days. Honestly, I don't remember the last time we just went away together. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I thought I could bring you along with me as I decide what to pack, both in terms of clothes, but also in terms of books. Historically, I have been one of those people who just kind of like pick a bunch of my favorite clothes and throw them all in and hope for the best, and that usually results in me overpacking or like underpacking in certain areas and overpacking in others, if you know what I mean. This time though, I am armed with my digitizer wardrobe, so I thought we could go in with a little bit more forethought and organization. I've been using Wearing since last year, but recently I just kind of had a little bit of an itch to try out Indyx, and seeing as I already have all the photos, it was very easy just to add my wardrobe into a different app. And the cool thing about Indyx in particular is it's very easy to create little collections, and so that is exactly what we're going to do for my Daylesford trip. Quickly taking a look at the weather first though, Daylesford is more inland than where I currently am, so I think it's going to be a bit colder. Yep, it looks like the highest it's going to get while we're there is 16 degrees, and it's going to be lows of 1 and 2 degrees. So definitely very fresh. We do get this kind of weather in Melbourne, but right now it's kind of like autumn more than it is winter, which is cool, but very mild. I think it's going to be a notch chillier in Daylesford. It's only a short trip, but I definitely do want to have a couple of options for, like, you know, getting changed maybe if we're going to go out somewhere nice for dinner one night or 2 nights. So I do want more than just like 5 outfits for the 5 days. I kind of want like 7 or 8 might be nice. And while I do want to be conscious of not overpacking, I'm also not like desperately trying to minimize as much as possible. We're driving up, we've got the car, we've got plenty of space. Like, I don't need to be scrupulous. We're just looking for some considered moderation. And my wardrobe is pretty colorful, but I definitely have certain colors that I'm drawn to more than others. So I feel like if we kind of zone in on just a couple of my go-to colors, that will make it a lot easier to kind of mix and match. A little bit capsule wardrobe inspired, I suppose, although with absolutely no beige. And I think the first choice absolutely has to be my most worn pair of pants lately, which is my green Addison Lucy and Yak jeans. These are so comfy, and honestly, to me, green is more of a staple color than black. So these are absolutely the very first and easiest pick of the lot. But I'll probably wear these on the drive up, so I'm gonna keep these ones out. Next up, I was thinking I would really like to bring a skirt. I have a couple of really lovely skirts that I just adore wearing, and they're all very colorful, and I feel like obviously a skirt just offers something a little bit different, a bit of variety from jeans. And so while I love all of my skirts, I think the obvious choice was my absolute favorite skirt, which is a skirt I bought last year from Obis. It's kind of like just a little bit above ankle length on me. And I mean, we've got all of my go-to colors, green, red, and purple. It's perfect. And honestly, I feel like with those two, we might be good for bottoms. I do, however, really want to bring one dress, just one. But as with most of my wardrobe, my dresses are all pretty colorful, and most of them are the kinds of dresses that I can wear out, you know, going to coffee with Blair or to a wedding. I've worn one of these dresses recently to a wedding, and I was very tempted to bring that one because it is my favorite, but I've opted for a different one. I've opted for this one from Obis again, actually. This one's got like the black base, and then we've got lots of purple and green all over it with a bit of pink and blue too. It's a dress that looks really good with like black tights, black boots if you're going out for dinner or something, but it's also just very easy and comfortable to wear day to day. So I think it's perfect. It fits the bill. Now onto the top half of the body. I've basically just picked out 3 knits in a variety of weights because clearly it's going to be quite cool while we're there, and I don't think I'm going to be like wanting to wear a t-shirt, and light to mid-weight knits is what I basically live in most of the year in Melbourne. So the lightest of the bunch is also the lightest color. I got this light green jumper at Savers recently, and I think this will look great with my Addison jeans if I want to go for like a 2-tone green look, and it'll look great with my skirt. The skirt almost has a very similar lime green in it. Perfect! The next one is a little bit heavier, and it's purple. We had to bring in a purple. I love a kind of medium to deep purple, but again, I just love green and purple as a combination, so this is going to go great with the jeans, and of course it's going to go great with the skirt too. And I could even wear it over the dress, although I don't really envision doing that with this jumper. I think I will do that with the next one. And that is this one, which is definitely the heaviest of the lot. and it's a jumper that I recently managed to find secondhand on Depop, and I certainly could wear this with the jeans. I don't think that would be my favorite color combination, but this I think is going to be my favorite with the skirt, and like I said, I think it's also going to be adorable over my dress. So that's all for the bases of the outfits. Now we just need bags, shoes, and coats. And this is definitely the area where I feel like if I wanted to be very careful about how much I was bringing, I could definitely reduce what I've decided on. But anyway, what should we start with? How about the bags? I've got two. And this was a very easy choice. It's my two most used bag. This is my little green backpack that I wear basically every single day. I love how light it is. It's big enough to like fit a water bottle and the stuff that you need, but it's not so big that it becomes cumbersome. So it's just a great everyday walking around the city kind of bag, or a country town in this case. And then this one is a little crossbody red bag from Oroton that I've had for, I don't know, like 8 years. And it's just my go-to kind of slightly nicer, dressier bag. Now for shoes. I have picked out 3 pairs of shoes. Like I said, I could definitely get this down to 2. You could probably even do 1. But I've decided to go for 3 just because they're all very different and I love them all. But also because I'm somebody who, because of how my body is and because it's so bendy and stuff, I actually find that changing my shoes up each day actually helps prevent some of the pain that I experience. I couldn't tell you why. It's just a thing that I've noticed. If I wear the same pair of shoes for many days in a row when I'm on my feet, I just get more sore. As it's going to be cold, I've picked out 2 pairs of boots, and then I've also just picked out one of my favorite pairs of derbies. So for the 2 pairs of boots, I've got my light purple ones and my black ones. Now for the derbies, I really wanted to bring a pair of derbies. City derbies in particular are my favorite shoes to wear. I probably would have brought my white derbies, my Old Faithfuls, but they're starting to fall apart. I need to go get them repaired. So instead, I've gone with my tan ones. These do have like little holes in them, so I often do wear them more in summer, but I find usually, as long as it's not too cold, that as long as I'm wearing socks, these are fine during, you know, mild winter weather, and as long as it's not raining. I will not be wearing these in the rain. And then finally we have jackets, and here again I've chosen 3, which might seem excessive, but I just like to have all my bases covered. This first one honestly might not even get worn. I'm just gonna bring my raincoat. It's one of those things that I just feel like if it does happen to rain, which it might towards the end of our stay, I will just be so glad that we have. Then my kind of like medium weight jacket that I've had for a couple of years now is just this purple one. It's not the cutest thing in the world, but it's just kind of perfect for certainly the weather that we're having now. I feel like this is probably the one that I will wear most of the time during the day. And then the other jacket that I'm going to bring is this red one. Now it does actually have a removable like vest inside, so you can kind of adjust how warm it is. The reason I'm not just bringing this one though is because it's huge. It is too big for me, which like I do like because that means I can layer so much, but it does just get a bit cumbersome, especially if you're, you know, wanting to walk around and like pop in and out of shops and stuff. So like I said, maybe a little excessive to be bringing all 3, but I will be really pissed with myself if I don't, and then I wish I had, you know? So that's it. That's all I'm bringing. All in all, that's 14 pieces, shoes, bags, coats included. And like we saw, I went a little excessive with the shoes and the coats. I feel like if you wanted to make this into like a true capsule wardrobe, you could definitely knock it down to 12, even 10. But I don't know, what can I say? I feel like having those few extra pieces will just make me feel a little bit better and give me a few more options. And in the Indyx app, I promise this isn't sponsored, you can like put together outfits within the collection just using the items that you've selected. And these are all the outfits that I've come up with. I'm sure there's other kind of, you know, mild tweaks and adjustments, but to me there's like 8 solid standalone outfits using these 14 pieces. Or actually I should correct myself, using the 13 pieces, because I haven't styled any of them with the raincoat. That will be a very much as needed kind of thing. So with 13 pieces, I get 8 really solid outfits, which I feel like is just about perfect. I do feel like I'm going to be a little bit sad not having any patterned tops, and I am kind of tempted to throw in my current favorite jumper. It wouldn't really go with the skirt or with the dress, but like I love wearing it with my jeans. So who knows, if by the time we finish packing there's room, I might do that. But for now, I'm really happy with my little collection, my little capsule travel wardrobe, and I'll definitely take some pictures and videos of, you know, how I ended up wearing these pieces throughout our holiday. But first, before we get there, we need to pick out what I'm going to take for reading. So let's move around so we have a better view of the bookshelf. Honestly, didn't change that much, did it? But here we are, we've got the bookshelf. And if you've been watching my videos recently, you will know that this is tricky because I've been in a reading slump, which you might think would result in the easiest and most obvious answer of just don't bring any books. But I can't quite commit to that. I feel like if you're a reader, you will understand. The idea of being away for a whole week without your books, with nothing to read, and like, who knows what happens if I'm in like a reading frenzy mood? Probably not going to happen, but what if? So while I'm not going to take like 5 or 6 books like I might do if I was in a very like active reading period, I also don't want to not take any books, and I'm still not quite sure, but I have a few ideas, so let's talk through them and make some decisions. So it's true that I have only read 1 book in like maybe 5 or 6 weeks, but I have been enjoying a little bit of a dive back into the world of literary magazines. So I think I definitely want to take the Arena magazine, which I've read maybe like 4 articles from. I still have over halfway to go. And I also recently picked up Arab Lit Quarterly, which just looks like a beautiful magazine, which I've never seen before. But I saw it making the rounds on Instagram recently, so I picked it up, and yeah, I think I definitely want to take this one along. I feel like those are the things that I'm probably most likely to actually read while we're away, but I do still want to bring a book or 2. Part of me thinks that I should maybe pick out a book from a series that I've really been liking that I have yet to finish. For example, I still have to read the final book in the Lady Trent memoirs. Another example would be, I don't remember which book exactly I'm up to, but the Chronicles of St. Mary's series. I was having a really fun time with that, but I haven't really caught up on any books recently. And both of these series, I mean, this one's fantasy, this one's sci-fi, they're just very fun and rompy. They've got a bit of romance. The main character's very like outspoken, sassy kind of women. Like, they're just fun to read. And actually, speaking of fun and romance and fantasy, this is the 3rd book in a romantasy series. I don't even know the name of the series. I can't remember. But the first book was called A Marvelous Light. That one was pretty popular. I have read the second one, and I've had the 3rd one on my shelf pretty much since it came out. And finally, just yesterday actually, I finally was first in the queue for the audiobook through my library. And I actually do feel like this could be a good option for a holiday read. I do feel like we need to take this one. Actually, you know what? I wasn't going to bring this book because it's only very short and it's a hardcover, but I feel like this might be our good option. And that is Terror Story by Hilary Lecter. This is a book that I've actually started. I read the first chapter maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago and just never picked it up again. Not because I wasn't enjoying it. I was definitely enjoying it. It's reading slump. It's a reading slump. It's not logical. Having said that, I said I wasn't going to bring like 5 or 6 books, and I've picked out 4 books and 2 magazines. Is it likely I'm going to read all of these? No. I do really want to bring the magazines. I really want to bring the magazines. And I feel like A Power Unbound, like I've got the audiobook from the library, like I need to read it in the next week or 2 anyway. So this feels like the right time to do it. And then I think I'm going to put this one back. I do really want to get back into this series. I have so much more of it to read, but I don't know. I just don't know that it's the right holiday for it maybe. Should I bring both of these? I kind of want to. Okay, I've resigned myself to it. I'm overpacking on reading material, but this is what I'm bringing. But that's it. That means we're all packed. We're ready to go. But that does not mean that this video is over. No, not at all. We are going to spend some time together while we're away, and I'm going to show you my cute little outfits that I make from my capsule travel wardrobe. And hopefully I'll even get to update you on some of the books that I'm reading. Fingers crossed. But that's it really. Let's go to Daylesford. We're back at home. Daylesford was incredible. We had such a relaxing, wonderful time. But before we can chat about what I wore and what I read, we first need to talk about my post-packing panic that I very often go into. So I did make a handful of adjustments to what I had planned to pack, what we spoke about. Firstly, I added in 2 tops. I was really scared that, I don't know, like I'd spill something on one of them or something would happen or the temperature just wouldn't be quite right. I'm very sensitive to temperature. It's a big concern of mine. It takes up a lot of my mental space every morning. So I threw in 2 tops. One is the one that I just wore up. It's one of my favorite jumpers at the moment. I think I mentioned that I might throw it in. I did. I just wore it on the trip up. I think it also satisfied that need that I felt like I had of like a bit more color. I felt like a lot of what I was packing besides my skirt was just very block color items. So I didn't really pack this, but I did wear it up. The other thing that I did pack is just like a dark green jumper. I would say it's like a light to medium weight. It's something that I found at Savers a few weeks ago. The other 2 things were actually swaps. I traded out some items. Firstly, shoes. So instead of my tan derbies with like the little holes in them, I swapped them out for my leopard print derbies. I know, so different, right? Firstly, these are enclosed, so you know, just kind of like adding a bit of warmth to what I was wearing, but also, again, a bit of pattern. I felt like I was lacking pattern and it was freaking me out a little bit. And then the other swap I made, I was honestly quite scared to make, but I'm so glad I did. It was the correct decision. I didn't end up taking that red jacket after all. That's one of my 2 big heavy duty winter jackets, but it's huge. It's really oversized on me, and like clearly I like oversized things, but with a jacket that big, it's just quite heavy. And anyway, I reminded myself that like it really wasn't that much colder in Daylesford than it gets in Melbourne. And like I've been living in Melbourne now for 12 years. I'm not a Queenslander anymore. I can do like reasonably cold temperatures. So what I ended up doing is not taking that red jacket and instead taking this pink one, which is honestly quite similar to what I'm wearing. I wear these kind of things all the time. I think they're called shackets now. I just think of them as kind of like a very light coat. So I took this, and I'm glad I did because I ended up wearing that a couple of times during the day. And in case you were wondering, I didn't wear my raincoat, but I was glad that I took it. It did start to rain on the last day we were there as we were driving home, but everything else I took, I did wear at least once, most items more than once. So now that adjustment that I made to my inventory has been put out on the table, let's chat about the outfits that I wore. Now I feel the need to just clarify that I know that I'm not the most fashionable person in the world. I enjoy clothes, I enjoy dressing up. It's like something that I look forward to in the morning. And importantly, while I do enjoy my clothes, I am always preferencing being comfortable. And so on days like where I'm just spending most of the day driving, which was the very first day, obviously I'm preferencing just being comfortable. And so this is the outfit that I wore. Very simple. I mean, my favorite jumper is definitely the star of the show here. I wore my green jeans just like I thought I would, and I wore my leopard print derbies. On the drive up, I didn't need a jacket, but I had my purple jacket out just in case. So that was my outfit for the first day. I wouldn't say that this is my favorite outfit, but like, it's fine. It's me. It's all pieces that I like, and it was comfy. It did the job. That night we went to what ended up being our favorite restaurant of the entire trip. I think it's called Beppe. It's a pretty fancy Italian restaurant, and this place was amazing. And I think my outfit was pretty cute too. It was simple but cute. And it was this night that I decided that I was going to put on my pretty dress, I was going to put on some boots, I was going to wear my little red bag. And while I was a little bit nervous about how cold it was, I just wore my purple jacket and it was more than enough. And of course, this is one of my favorite dresses because it's cute, but also it is so comfortable. So I felt great. I think I looked pretty cute. It was a solid outfit. I was very happy with it. So the next day, which was our first proper full day in Daylesford, we were basically just like kind of going around to a couple of op shops. We went on like a little like walk around to the botanical gardens at the top of the hill, and it was actually quite a nice day. So I didn't need like too many heavy layers. I just needed to be comfortable, and this is the outfit I chose. I wore that lightweight light green jumper. I wore my Addison jeans again, and I got some wear out of that pink jacket, and I was very happy that I brought it. Again, I wore my leopard print derbies, super comfy. They're just very easy to walk in. And I also wore just like a pretty colourful scarf tied around my neck just to kind of add some pizzazz. This is a very everyday, casual me kind of outfit. I felt good in it and I liked the colours. We didn't go out for dinner that night, we just stayed in. So my next outfit the next morning might have been one of my favorites. I decided it was time to switch things up and whip out my adorable overskirt. I wore my purple jumper with my little red bag and my purple boots. So a very fun, colourful outfit. I actually don't think I even took a jacket with me this day. It was very mild weather, much more mild than I had kind of made up in my head and that I was fearing. Again, this is another day where we just kind of walked around town. We popped into some op shops, we drove around, saw some sights, we walked around the Daylesford Lake, which was a lovely, lovely walk. We just had a beautiful day. It might have been my favourite day actually. And it was a perfect outfit for a perfect day. I loved it. Later in the day, I did also throw on my green keffiyeh just because it was getting slightly cool. And so I wore that on our walk around Daylesford Lake. And it was perfect because there were some parts that were quite sunny, so I could kind of use it as a little bit of a hat, as a cover. But then in the kind of shadier parts of the walk where there was a bit of a breeze, I could like wrap it around me and it was perfect. I don't know about everywhere else, but in Australia, a lot of Palestinian Australians have been asking us to wear our keffiyehs more casually. I think partly because then it's just kind of like casual solidarity. We see people out and about, and I often do, just wearing keffiyehs, and I think it's just great. But then secondly, it can also prompt conversation. It didn't this day, but it has for me at other times, which again, I think is important. That night we did go out for dinner, and this night I wore the same skirt, the same boots, the same bag, but just so that I could feel like I'd freshened up a little bit, I changed out for my dark green top, which is like the jumper that I threw in at the last minute. And I actually decided to try out a coat that I bought at one of the thrift shops. It was this cute, almost lime green kind of fake suede jacket from the 90s. So lots of green in this outfit, but the skirt makes it just that little bit more fun. Tonight we went to, I think it was the Virgin Kitchen, and I don't know if I would necessarily wear this jacket with this outfit again. I don't hate it, but I think some of my other jackets would have looked better. But I just was really in the mood to try out my new jacket, you know? So the next day, day 3, I think was my favorite outfit, I decided to pull out my dress again. And this is the day that I decided to pop on my red jumper over the top. I just love a bright red with almost any color palette, but particularly greens and purples. I just love a bit of red. It was a little bit colder this day, but it was still very sunny. It was beautiful weather actually. And this jumper was definitely quite a bit heavier, so I felt pretty good. However, in the afternoon when we were deciding to go for a bit of a walk, it was starting to get cold. So again, I threw on my keffiyeh because it was just getting that little bit cooler and I wanted to kind of keep my chest and my neck a bit warmer. And my purple jacket was that perfect layer of added warmth. Then finally for our trip home, I just wanted to be, again, just very comfortable. So it's quite a similar outfit to what I wore up. I wore the same jeans, I wore the same shoes. This time though, I wore the dark green jumper, and then because this outfit definitely needed some color, I popped on my bright pink shacket. Are we calling them shackets? That feels so silly to say. So not one of my favorite looks in terms of like aesthetic. This is very much like a casual, comfy priority kind of outfit, but it did the job. So all in all, I wore 8 outfits in our 5 days away, and even though I like I said when I was packing, you could definitely cut out a pair of shoes or two, you could definitely cut out a jacket. I was very comfortable. I was very happy with what I took. I felt like I had enough options to meet the temperature and whatever we were doing. Our holiday was wonderful, and not once did I feel like I didn't have something that I needed to wear, but I also wasn't so overwhelmed with choices that I was like stressing out in the morning or whatever. I felt like I had about the right amount and I felt very good. Now let's chat about the reading that I did. Now obviously I did take a lot of reading material, and actually I didn't end up doing a lot of reading. It's funny, sometimes when we go on holiday, wherever we go, I do a lot of reading. Even when we're quite busy, I feel like most of the time when we travel, and when I say travel, I just mean within Australia. Blair and I have never been overseas together. We're usually traveling to see family or for some event or something like that. Like it's usually like a reason that we're going either to Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Bateman's Bay, whatever. And so even though we end up being quite busy, I feel like I have a tendency to be quite overwhelmed on those trips, and I need a lot of intentional downtime. And for me, that often is sitting and reading. Whereas this time, it was just a very lovely, lovely time. And even though we did spend plenty of time just in the cabin that we were staying in, we were just spending some like nice quality time together. I wasn't feeling stressed and overwhelmed. I didn't feel like I needed to take an hour or two and just like put myself in my little bubble and read. We were just kind of like doing whatever. It was pretty casual, it was pretty chill. It was just some really, really nice time with the two of us. Having said that, I did read a little bit, especially kind of just before bed. I read 2 more articles in the Arena magazine. One was about YIMBY, which is kind of like a response to NIMBYs, which is not in my backyard. In this case, it's yes in my backyard. And the author was talking about the kind of like neoliberal, flawed ideology behind that movement, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne. That was a very long article. It actually took me 2 nights to read in a couple of hours, but I really enjoyed it. And then the other article was not quite as long, but was really impactful. And this one was about the political relevance and I suppose like priorities at the moment for several of the Pacific Islands, and how the relationship between Australia and the Pacific Islands has kind of like evolved over the time, and how our very pro-America, anti-China, or not anti-China, but not friendly with China necessarily. It's kind of like a reluctant relationship I feel like we have in terms of politics and all of that with China. How that is actually kind of causing a lot of tension with our relationship with the Pacific Islands. So again, very interesting. I am just having a great time reading this magazine, even if I am reading it very slowly. And although that was probably the majority of my reading, I opened not just one, but 2 books while we were away. Don't get ahead of yourself, I didn't finish them, but I did start them. Let's talk about them. On the first night, I decided to pick up A Power Unbound. Like I said, I did get the audiobook, so this one felt like the right kind of time. However, I only got 1 chapter in, well, kind of like 1.5. It has been a long time since I read books 1 and 2 in this series. And I think from memory, I gave the first book like a 4-star, 3.5, 4-star. The second book was kind of like a 3.5 star. I like them. I have fun with them when I read them, but they're not the kind of books that I think of as being favorites or even books that I love. They're fast-paced, they're rompy, they got a bit of smart. They're just like fun, you know? Like that's the best way I can describe them. So diving into this one, I feel like it's been at least 1.5 years since I read A Restless Truth, which is the second book. And so essentially it was just that moment of like, I think there's stuff I'm supposed to have remembered from the previous book that I just don't. So 1, I wasn't enjoying it, and 2, I was finding the reading experience stressful rather than enjoyable, which is not what you want with a rompy romance. Whereas now I'm starting to be like, I don't like, do I need to reread the other 2 books? I don't think I want to. I didn't even really like the second book that much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of questioning whether I even want to try to keep pushing through. So after trying and failing with that book on night 1, on night 2, I decided to give, sorry, here's the dust jacket, Terra Story a go. So now I'm up to page 100, which is like a little over halfway, and I'm really enjoying this one. It's a weird little book. I don't even know how to describe it to you. There's kind of different vignettes of different people and just kind of slightly odd, slightly strange things happening. In particular, in the first story, we're introduced to this young family who are clearly not well off, and they're living in a very small apartment, and they dream of just having a small yard, a small terrace, something where they can have a little bit of outside. And one day they invite a friend around who, when she goes to their closet, she opens up the door and there's a terrace. And this terrace only ever shows itself when this friend is around. And so they keep inviting her over, and like, just so they can experience this terrace, this little piece of outside. And I don't really want to tell you any more than that, but yeah, it's a weird little book and I'm enjoying it. But I think that's it. I know that this was a little bit of a different video for me. Please feel free to let me know in the comments below if you liked it, if you've got any feedback. I'm happy to hear it. I'm not out here gunning to become the next fashion YouTube channel. Don't worry about that. I think I just want to be a little bit more, I don't know, relaxed with the kinds of things that I feel like I can try out on this channel. And especially when I'm not reading a lot, you know, like, there's only so much I can talk about the books that I've already spoken about. So as I said, feel free to let me know what you think if you've got any thoughts. And I suppose just thanks so much for hanging out with me and sticking with me, watching this video, whatever it ends up being. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't edited it. I hope it's okay. I hope you had a good time. A big thank you, of course, goes to my wonderful patrons over on Patreon, and especially a big thank you to Livia, Lynette Brown Marie, and Rose Rocco. Thank you, Rose. Welcome. And I suppose while we're here, right at the end, I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler. Next week, if all goes to plan, you will be getting another video about Daylesford, because Blair and I made a lot of stops at a lot of op shops and weird markets and bazaars. So I've got a little bit of a secondhand thrift store haul for you. We got some clothes and some books to chat about. So look forward to that. I'll see you then. And until then, much love. Bye.